Hello everybody, Infinite Shinjo here, and welcome back to episode 41 of Let's Talk Anime. I never really brought it up before, but it's amazing that a series like this has been going on for so long. I mean, I know that my Empyrean series is going on for much longer, but like, a series that isn't a Let's Play going on for this long, that's still consistently getting requests, is just amazing. But I got some more requests. They were given by you, and this first one was a suggestion that was given, but at the time I recorded the last episode, I haven't watched it yet, so I'm including it in this video. And to start, we have Uzaki-chan wants to hang out. I'm saying hang out because the alternative is to call it play, which just sounds dirty. So I've seen a lot of people online compare this to, say, TZ Master Takagi-san because it has a similar dynamic, and I can see the similarities, but at the same time, it's kinda different. The first difference, they're much older here than they are in Takagi-san. And at the same time, I know that there's that whole trait of, oh, there's a smug anime girl that just likes to pick on somebody, Takagi-san, Uzaki, and I think there's somebody else, there's like a tan girl that's part of a manga. I'm not familiar with it, I've just seen pictures around. But I could easily just give this show a synopsis right now. Normally I don't, but this show is simple enough that I could easily do that. So basically we have Sakurai. I'm glad I wrote his name down because honestly I would have forgot. Sakurai and Uzaki, as well as the two in the back, but I don't think they're as really important. They're in college, and Sakurai is basically just content with living his lives with nothing eventful happening. Sakurai meets Uzaki in her first year of college when he's at least 1 year older. I can only assume 1 year older. And she sees him around that first year and realizes he's basically a loser, more or less. I think she uses another word, but I can't think. Maybe like a shut-in or whatever, something similar to that. But after that, she decides the second year, she's going to use a different approach. And basically be this loud, obnoxious girl to force him into doing stuff to make his life more memorable, essentially. Because like the whole thing of you're in college, it's the time of your life, it's the time that you need to experience all these big things because when you become an adult and have a family, you're basically stuck. I don't think that's the exact wording, but that's basically how I'm interpreting it and putting it in my words. But like it even gets deeper than that because like he meets Uzaki in the first episode and he flashes back to a time that she's working at a pool. I'm assuming both of them in high school at the time. But like the way they handle it, they just flash back to her, even longer hair now that I think about it, and then just flash to the present time. That's honestly a lot better of exposition than other shows I've seen, especially Monster Musume Doctor, because that's fresher in my mind since I just recovered from that show. I wanted to say recorded, but it just came out as recovered, so I guess at the same time you could call it recovered. But I like how, like I mentioned before, Uzaki just meets Sakurai in the first year, and she's like friendly, like, "Hey, nice to meet you. I like to see you around campus more often." Like, you know, just normal platitudes that you just give to anybody that you just want to be cool with. But then the second year, she sees that okay, that tactic doesn't work, so she basically changes her attitude and makes herself a little more obnoxious in a way to put it, and forces him to come along. But at the same time, you know that she's doing that in a weird sense. She's doing it out of love, out of appreciation, because she wants Sakurai's life to be not boring. And that, honestly, I just feel is kind of sweet. The show never outright says it's like that, but that's how I'm interpreting it, because it's just like her attitude changes that drastically from one season to the next. So it'd be incredible if she just decided, oh, I'm just gonna do that just to make his life interesting. And the next pro that I wrote down, it's honestly insane that I wrote this down discussing an anime. I literally wrote down This is like the SpongeBob Squidward dynamic. At least in some episodes of SpongeBob. I know that there are some of them that are kind of on the iffy side, but like the essential dynamic is you got a fun-loving person and a stick in the mud, and the fun-loving person wants to get the stick in the mud to basically do stuff. It's kind of like that, but in a way not, because at the same time, I don't think there was ever a time that SpongeBob said, oh, I'm gonna do this to make Squidward's life better. I mean, I think there actually was an episode where he did that, but like overall, that's not his goal. And I'm looking at the notes again. I have no idea why I wrote this under prose. That cat in the back there. What is the deal with that cat? He's in the opening. He's like shown all throughout the first episode. And I'm just like, what is going on with this cat? Is this supposed to be symbolism for something? I don't get what the symbolism is for. Now, the only official con that I wrote down, and it's a bit of a stretch, but I wanted to, whenever I discuss something, at least come up with one con for it. And the con that I wrote is Uzaki-chan. In a way. Like, I appreciate that she goes out of her way to make Sakurai's life interesting. But, like, is her whole personality now just the fact that she's loud and has big breasts? Because, like, the first episode, he literally is just like, he has the VR thing on, and it's just like, oh, what's this? Whatever it is, it's super squishy, ha ha ha. Main character grabs the character's boobs. That's hilarious, right? I mean, the only other thing that I can see is that her character is a little more interesting because she has like those moments of like people that make fun of people for liking other stuff don't appreciate them themselves. Like, she's got these like all-seeing eye moments that's just like, is she literally just talking to the audience at that point? But like, strangely enough, and it actually makes sense, the one thing that's kind of making me hesitant on continuing this show is Uzaki herself. Like I said, I like the fact that she goes out of her way to make Sakurai's life interesting, but like, if her whole traits are going to be that she's loud, says things at the worst possible time, like, the end of the first episode, she meets him at college. There are people around because of course there are, and she just says, hey senpai, you know that thing we did yesterday? My back hurts because of it. And everybody's thinking, oh, they must have done something. And it's just like, no, she was literally just on a massage chair, but she just says things just because she wants it to be taken out of context. That's probably not her purpose, but it's just like, if that's going to be the whole episode, that her quotes are taken out of context, it's just going to be, really? I just got to shake my head. Like, the first time they did it was kind of funny, but if they keep on doing it, it's going to be kind of old. And that's the thing I like with other shows like Konosuba, for example. Like, they have their jokes that are always used, but they put a twist on them to make it so you never know what you're expecting. But I don't know. The show's good, but if anybody's watching it, let me know if it gets any better and if any of the comments that I address are fixed or not. But like, honestly, there hasn't been many suggestions that I've been given that I go out of my way to watch afterwards. However, with that being said, the next suggestion is Deca-Dence. And I think this is going to be the exception to the rule. Because with everything that I've watched in this video, honestly, for the most part, when I discuss something anymore, I just watch the first episode, and if I feel like I need to watch more to get a better grasp on it, or if I plan to watch more in the future, I just stop at one episode. But Deca-Dence is going to be something I am definitely continuing. Like, Tower of God and God of High School from before, I'm just like, okay, I feel like I have to continue watching them. They're hot topic shows that everybody's talking about, so they must be good. But I know that with God of High School especially, like, things are getting kind of iffy with the show, like the pacing's kind of odd. But like, Deca-Dence is a good exception to the rule. Because like, I know that seasonal anime, at least some shows get pushed under the rug. But like, Deca-Dence is one that I haven't heard many people talk about. And when I have heard people talk about it, it mostly just boils down to, yeah, just watch this show, experience it for yourself. And I can see why. Because if I'm not mistaken, This is an original work. I'm pretty sure that there's no source material for this. I didn't see any source material around for it, so if there is, I'm not aware of it. But like, the thing that I like about it, and it's honestly the only pro that I wrote down, is it's a nice feeling of going into a show with no expectations, knowing nothing at all. Because like, especially now, because like, the internet is a big thing. Obviously, I'm on it right now, but like, with anything, especially Pokemon games in general, that's mostly what I'm referring to. New game comes out. Oh, we gotta data mine it. We gotta find out exactly what's in the game. Oh, there's only one new regional form? Well, that stinks. It's just like, the mentality of people now, it's just like, I have to know exactly what this is going about. I have to know what's going on. But like, back in the day, at least for me, I watched a lot of stuff and I didn't know anything about it beforehand. Like, back in the day when I was watching Pokemon at least, if they had Cerebi up at that time, I wouldn't have known, because I was watching the dub, and the dub is far behind the Japanese version, obviously. Like, I didn't know that Ash was going to get all 3 Johto starters. I didn't know he was going to get a shiny Noctowl. Like, big things like that. If the internet wasn't around, then people would be a lot more surprised because they wouldn't expect it. And with Deca-Dence, it's one of those things where if it has no source material, then you don't know what you're getting yourself into. At the same time, that could be a turnoff for some people, but I like to think of it as a pro because, like, you could go into something, not know anything about it, and it could be your next favorite show. There honestly aren't many anime that I even watch anymore, even on my list on my phone, that I know very little about. I know at least a little bit of at least some shows that I watch, even if I haven't watched a full episode. And that's just a nice feeling that with Deca-Dence, I went into the first episode knowing nothing. So anything that they throw at me is a nice surprise. But at the same time, the con kind of works into that. Like, I get that if it has no source material, I get that anything goes. But like, I'm just wondering, what in the world is this show? Like, you got, what's her name, Natsumi, who lost her dad, probably, and then she's working on this big old fortress looking thing, and she's got some rude guy that has like a monster or whatever, that everybody fights monsters, but some people work on the sidelines, but she doesn't want to work on the sidelines. Like, honestly, I've only watched the first episode, but this first episode has gotten me so confused on it, which is a con, but at the same time, it's gotten me so interested because I want to watch more to find out what happens next. And that's kind of what I was referring to earlier about the internet, because it's hard to go into something completely blind anymore. And I like how with Deca-Dence, you kind of get that feeling. At least I got that feeling. But yeah, I'd say pretty good show. From the rate it's going, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that fortress that they're working on just turns into a giant mech at the end at this point. I don't know if that would be a good thing or a bad thing. At this point, I'm open to anything from the show. But like, I could go into specific details on like what I liked about it, what I didn't like. But like, just this show overall, it was a nice first episode. I'm obviously going to continue more. But like, from an objective view, I can't say I didn't like this or I didn't like that. Especially since I'm going back to watch more. The things that I talk about that I might criticize might be fixed later on. But like, this show overall just brought back a huge wave of nostalgia for me. Pretty good show. I don't want to 100% recommend it to anybody yet because I haven't finished it. But like, if it keeps this pace, I might really enjoy it. But the last thing... Oh wait, I just realized. You know this already, but like, I didn't even realize, cause, hold on, I'm gonna have to resize this anyway, let me just go on to the next page. So like, Narmak. Narmak is a YouTube channel, and he made a SpongeBob SquarePants anime. And I didn't even intend to discuss this in the same episode that I mentioned Uzaki-chan and Sakurai's whole dynamic is like SpongeBob and Squidward. I didn't plan that at all. I only had 2 suggestions and I thought, why not just include SpongeBob? that was purely unintentional, but it worked out great. So like at this point I'm going off notes because I didn't write much down for this, because like there isn't too much to talk about, because like essentially Narmak does different animations and like anime openings for stuff. He did one for, I think, Shrek. I haven't watched much of that, but like he did SpongeBob SquarePants openings. He did like 3 of them and 1 ending, I believe. And like it got a lot of popularity because it's just like that whole meme of what's your favorite anime? SpongeBob SquarePants, and it's all hilarious and everybody laughs. But like to everybody's surprise, Narmak, that crazy individual, actually went ahead with a whole thing and made a SpongeBob anime. Voice actors and actresses included. And there's even gonna be an English dub of it. But like, as a first episode, because there's only 1 episode out, I wouldn't assume there would be more than 1 out at this point, but if there is, just know I've only seen the first episode. But like, it's pretty good. Honestly, they take like minor jokes in the SpongeBob show and just make them serious things here. Like, SpongeBob faces Bubble Bass in this episode. It's pretty obvious from the picture. But like, Bubble Bass is just facing down SpongeBob, and he mentions about how you can't make me a Krabby Patty without pickles or with pickles, or I can't remember the exact joke. Because like, in the early seasons of SpongeBob, he had that whole, what's it called? That whole, I don't want to say epiphany, but he basically broke down because Bubble Bass here basically tricked him into thinking he didn't put pickles on the patty, and then he just broke down, didn't want to make Krabby Patties anymore. And it's just like, the fact that they literally took that joke and actually made it sound serious. And even the fact that the main villain is Plankton makes perfect sense. Bubble Bass being like his henchman. And the fact that later on they're having Doodle Bob be an antagonist is just hilarious. And honestly, if they're gonna play this super straight, I might actually really love this. And the fact that I've seen Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy in the OP, I wouldn't be surprised if they like kill them off in some gruesome death scene or whatever, because the real voice actor that voices Mermaid Man in the actual show like passed away a while ago. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, just like a minor reference. And I think there are other references that have been thrown in the first episode alone. But like, this show, this anime is something that technically shouldn't work, but the fact that they play it like a literal shonen is just great. But with all those thoughts about it, let me talk about YouTube being a butt. I'm aware I'm saying that on YouTube, and I'm at risk for actually getting something done with this video because of it, but I don't care. So, this first episode went live, and then next thing I know, the video is taken down. Narmak's posting everywhere saying, save the SpongeBob anime, it's within fair use and whatever. And miraculously, it came back. But like, YouTube just, I don't know. It didn't seem like it wanted to get its butt in gear to actually basically fight back against this. But like, they're saying that it's meant for kids. Yeah, obviously. It's a show. It's based off of a show that's meant for kids. But this anime is super serious. And it's an official work. It's an original animation. Sure, it's based off of something else, but at this point, you'd be hard-pressed to come up with a whole show and arc of literally brand spanking new characters. Like, would this hit as hard if it was just some random one-off guy, say, like, named Joe, for example? Would it hit as hard if the main character was named Joe instead of SpongeBob? Sure, it's based off of SpongeBob, but the fact that it's based off of SpongeBob, it's what's getting people to watch it. And especially with YouTube's copyright system, it being kind of weird at times, I know I've especially experienced it. The fact that Narmak's work, which I believe he said took at least 6 months, maybe more, the fact that that much of his time just went down the drain is just heartbreaking. Granted, the video's up now, but especially for Narmak and for anybody else that saw it, it kind of scares people into not posting original stuff like that for fear that YouTube might do something like this again. And it's honestly kind of heartbreaking because, like, This took so much time, and it just went down the drain, and it's actually very good. If it would be something like that was kind of subpar animation, kind of crappy dialogue and whatever, and it would just be like, okay, it's not that great. It's still somebody's original work, but at the same time, it isn't something that's like garnered a lot of views if it's that bad or poor quality or whatever. But this is high quality, and YouTube just doesn't care. YouTube copyright system is just always a bit of a butt, and I knew that I wanted to discuss the YouTube copyright issues the instant I brought this up. But that is going to be the end of this episode of Let's Talk Anime. I never thought that I would be discussing Spongebob in an episode of this, but here we are. If you have any other suggestions for Let's Talk Anime, leave them down in the comment section, and I will get to them when I have a chance. But I will see you in the next episode. Momentai.